What up, fight fans? Main man, made man here, back at it. Y'all know how I get down. We talking boxing. All right, y'all. It seems as if David Lemieux, the Canadian-born middleweight boxer, newly crowned IBF champion. Let me just do this. Hats off to David Lemieux and his whole entire corner for the defeat over this Hassan Ndam, taking in the IBF. Basically fighting for the vacant IBF title that was left vacant by Jermaine Taylor. Ladies and gentlemen, David Lemieux, oh man, looked great in that particular fight. That was a hell of a fucking fight for those who missed that fight over the weekend. I tell you, man, go back and watch that fight. Awesome fight between David Lemieux and Hassan Ndam. The thing is, David Lemieux, ladies and gentlemen, I think every time I see this kid fights, he gets better and better every fight that I see him. Ever since his losses back in 2011 and 2012, he has definitely progressed since then. Since the Rubio fight, I thought he definitely progressed since that fight. I'm loving what I'm seeing from David Lemieux every time he's got fight. Now that he is newly crowned IBF champion, of course, the questions are emerging. Should David Lemieux now take on Gennady Golovkin for a possible unification match? I don't know. Oh, man, that's such a high thing to eat. The thing is, I think David Lemieux should possibly pursue other fights in the middleweight division. There are other good fights that he can take at middleweight. I do not think he should chase Gennady Golovkin at this particular point. There are other guys he can possibly get into unification matches with. Andy Lee is right there. I don't know. Maybe Daniel Jacobs, if they can make that happen. There's other fights that can happen, maybe a Martin Murray type fight or something like that. Hassan Ndam was a great challenge. A lot of people accuse David Lemieux of not having the big names on his resume, which clearly he doesn't. We know at this particular point his probably biggest names is Gabriel Rosado and, of course, Antonio Rubio. Now, people who wanted to see David Lemieux fight Gennady Golovkin always go back to those two fights because those are the two common opponents that him and Gennady Golovkin have between each other. And of course, for one, Gennady destroyed Marco Rubio, but however, that was years later after Lemieux fought him. And on top of that, what he did to Gabriel Rosado, it was just crazy. But the fact is that it took Lemieux much longer and probably a little more harder to deal with those two particular fighters. But I stress to everybody out there to remember, when Lemieux fought Marco Antonio Rubio, he was only 22 years old, ladies and gentlemen. He had a lot to learn, I guess, at that particular time. Now, given Rubio was the older, aging fighter, more so a gatekeeper fighter at that time, people was expecting Lemieux to actually kind of roll right through him, but he didn't. Veteranship plays a key, ladies and gentlemen. But the fact is, David Lemieux was younger at that time, and he has definitely improved since then. For those who don't know much about David Lemieux, he's a Canadian fighter. He's fought for majority of his fights in Canada. The last fight that just happened over the weekend against Ndam took place in Canada as well. He possesses some very, very good fundamentals, yo. I think he has a great punch output. He constantly comes at you steadily for almost all 12 rounds. If it's a 12-round fight, he'll keep coming at you, man, throwing all kinds of punches. He packs a devastating left hook. He does very good body work, in my opinion, especially since he was younger. One of the main reasons he lost, I thought, to Antonio Rubio was that he didn't do enough body work at the time. Now, he's a phenomenal body worker. He's a phenomenal body puncher, as we've seen in the Ndam fight. He's very Tyson reminiscent. I hear that he's a big Mike Tyson fan, but he fights very similar in that similar Tyson style, that Customato style, where I think his head movement can be much more better, though. But he throws those hooks and he throws with such conviction. He's a come forward style fighter, where he's always looking to bring the fight to you. He possesses very good power. He's gotten much better over the years of cutting off the ring. Much better than from the Rubio fight to now. He just looks much better at cutting the ring off. He has much better conditioning since he had back then he was coming up. One of the main reasons that, I thought that fight, for one, also, let me just note, in the Marco Rubio fight, the fight that he lost, I thought it was stopped very prematurely. I thought he possibly could have finished the round out. and maybe came back next round and seen how he would dig. But he was purely dominating that fight up until the fight was stopped. He got clipped. He got hit in the temple. He took temple shots, which can really fuck up your equilibrium. Now, a lot of people seen those shots and they say, hey, it didn't like was much power on him. But if you go back to that fight, you'll see that he got hit a couple times in the temple. And those temple shots are devastating, ladies and gentlemen. But the fact still remains is that I still think he has much better conditioning than he did back then. He did say stamina and conditioning played a part in that particular fight and in the fight after that one where he quit in that fight and he lost the next fight after that. I forgot the guy's name. He's like a journeyman at the time, but I forgot the guy's name, but he lost to him in the very next fight after the Rubio fight. So another thing that I give David Lemieux is he knows how to overtake adversity. I mean, he went through back-to-back losses, and now he's world champion. So you got to take your head off to that. And he's still a young guy, you know what I mean? He's 26 years old. Now, he does have some issues, though, with his style that he's very vulnerable in my opinion. I think he becomes very vulnerable between flurries while he's recovering because once he has to back up a little bit, he doesn't fight well at all. He does not fight well off the back foot. He does not fight well between his flurries. Now, before, when he was a lot younger, I thought he fought more so in spurts where he will fight, then take a lot of time off, then come back and throw, fight in spurts, basically. Now he fights much more continuously, where he brings it basically every single round continuously, and that has changed since then. He throws so many of his punches with conviction, ladies and gentlemen, where at the time when I thought he was younger, it was detrimental to him because when he would miss, it would take so much energy away from him. And on top of that, it would cause him to reach a hell of a lot more. Now he's more so in control of those things where he still throws with a lot of conviction, but he makes sure that the distance is always much more closer. He's now coming in with jabs and right hands, and then setting up that left hook, and as well as his body work. So he's become his ring IQ has gotten much, much better over the years, ladies and gentlemen. But like I said, he throws with such conviction, and it can be detrimental when he misses, but he is also an accurate puncher. He's gotten much more accurate over these last few fights. So he's a very good accurate puncher. So him throwing with conviction and becoming much more accurate, it just makes him a problem for a lot of fighters at the middleweight division, ladies and gentlemen. So David Lemieux is a very, very good fighter, man. Once again, it's only natural for the calls to come up about Triple G, given whom Gennady Golovkin is the most probably infamous name at middleweight right now, and a lot of people want to see him take on much more challenges at this particular point in his career. But however, if you go back to the resume, Gennady Golovkin has actually fought a lot of the top middleweights that that have came over the last couple of years in middleweight. He's fought damn near all of them, but there are a lot of fighters who I would like to see to step up to fight David Lemieux. Now he's gotten his victory over Indom. A lot of people know that, say he has that stigma, how today's boxers are. He doesn't fill seats. He's not a popular guy. Well, he's IBF world champion now, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of fighters who I know would love to have that strap around their belt. You know what I mean? So give him a shot, man. Hats off to Gabriel Rosado for taking him on. Though he was a risky fight, Gabriel Rosado still showed a lot of heart, and he took that fight. So hats off to Gabriel Rosado. But like I said before, a lot of these guys, man, is going to have to step up and take on the whirlwind that's David Lemieux. Now, he can be reckless. He's like a Sean Porter type. He can be reckless at times, too, and he's also vulnerable coming in at times. But given that he throws with such conviction and such good accuracy, it just always makes the other boxer back up. Now, in a fight, say, with Gennady Golovkin, I don't think Gennady Golovkin would be doing nearly as much backing up as a lot of fighters. I don't know if David Lemieux can handle the power of such as the Gennady Golovkin. I don't think he's fought anyone with nearly as much punching power as Gennady Golovkin. But I still think this kid is young. In my opinion, I don't think he's ready for Gennady, though it will be a possible explosive fight for about 4 to 5 rounds, in my opinion. I don't think he's ready. I think he should sit back, look at the division, look at some other opponents right now. Gennady Golovkin definitely has his eye on the winner of that Canelo Cotto fight anyway. Sit back, look at some other names at middleweight. I'm not going to sit here and go through the politics of such. Some fights are possible, some fights probably ain't. I know David Lemieux has newly signed now with Golden Boy Promotions, so he's a Golden Boy fighter. That probably limits him to a lot of fighters at middleweight. We all know the whole Golden Boy and Al Heyman thing. So, of course, fighters like Peter Quillen, maybe Andy Lee, those are off. Those are definitely off. Daniel Jacobs, that's off. So, but there's still other guys there. Miguel Cotto, definitely, Miguel Cotto's not going to fight a fighter like David Lemieux. Cotto's looking for the big names, popular names only. I don't know, man. I think Gennady Golovkin will do it, but at this particular time, Gennady Golovkin has earned his stripes at middleweight. He's the #1 guy at middleweight, where he is wanting the big fight. He wants that Canelo or Cotto fight, or maybe even possibly like a Quillen fight or Andy Lee fight, but I don't think he wants to take on Lemieux, even though we would like to see it be a possibly fan-pleasing fight. Gennady Golovkin, business-wise, I don't think he will accept that type of fight. But I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Daniel, I don't know. David Lemieux just got to get in. Maybe a Chris Eubanks Jr. That'd be a good fight. Chris Eubanks Jr. Of course, a lot of the European fighters like to have that IBF strap. That opens the door for guys like Chris Eubanks Jr. That opens the door for guys like, I don't know, Daniel Gill, but even though he's just coming off that loss against Miguel Cotto and he just looked terrible. But, Daniel Gill, maybe a Billy Joe Saunders who's undefeated at the current time, 21-0, I believe. He's a UK boxer. Martin Murray can get a shot. There's some good names that David Lemieux can take on at middleweight, you know what I mean, that I approve of, But this kid is on the rise, man. Golden Boy Promotions has spotted it, signed this kid, man. As we seen in the Indom fight, we seen how the reaction from Oscar De La Hoya and the reaction from Bernard Hopkins, who were sitting ringside of that fight, and they know they possibly have something special in this kid. So he's a good knockout artist. He does possess a lot of good power. He brings the fight. He gives exciting fights. I like David Lemieux, ladies and gentlemen. So it's going to be clear to see. It's going to be good to see where he goes from this point, whom he's going to choose as his next couple opponents. Will he choose to kind of showcase himself, given that he's a newly crowned champion, Golden Boy newly crowned signee, and Golden Boy needs superstars right now. So will they put him in showcase fights, even though he's already fought his share of tomato cans? But will they continuously put him in a showcase fight to build his name up more here in America? Because though he's a big name in Canada, he's pretty much non-existent amongst the casuals in America. If you're not a serious die-hard, you don't know who David Lemieux is. So maybe Golden Boy will possibly take that route, take the populist route, put him in a couple showcase fights, let everyone know they have another world champion in their stable, and maybe try to get him a big fight. I don't know. But I'd like to see him against some of the European guys, maybe a couple of the UK guys that we just named. Those will be interesting fights. I do not suggest a Gennady Golovkin fight at this particular time. Still would like to see him progress just a little bit more before he takes on the whirlwind and the power of Gennady Golovkin. So, once again, hats off to this guy. Hats off also to Hassan Indam for fighting such a good fight. Also, it showed a lot of tremendous heart in that fight. He went down 4 times, ladies and gentlemen. Showed a lot of heart, finished the fight out, finished the fight strong. It was a very entertaining fight. So hats off to him and his entire corner as well. So keep your eye on the lookout, man, for this kid, man. I'm telling you, man, David Lemieux, y'all. I think we're going to be hearing a lot about more and more about this kid in the future. Can't wait to see him get into a real good elite level fight at middleweight. I hope they can make it happen. Like I said, he's a Golden Boy fighter, so we know the politics involved with that. So to the next video, it's your main man, Made Man. Keep your eye out for this kid, y'all. For those who don't know him, look him up, Google him, box rec him, whatever you got to do. Just look up this kid, David Lemieux. He's a very, very entertaining fighter. To the next video, it's your main man, Made Man. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget I'm on Twitter at MadeMan511. Peace out.